What's up, everybody? It's Ty the Bourbon Guy, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about Milam Greene. Now, this particular bottle that I'm going to review is the very small batch. It's 108 proof out of Texas. Now, from my understanding, this is actually a blend between Kentucky, Tennessee, and then it seems like it may be aged in Texas. I know that's the case with some of their whiskeys. I believe that to be the case with the very small batch as well. I could be wrong. So the bottles themselves are pretty unique. They're these little short squatty bottles that typically stand out on a shelf, especially when there's like multiples. So when I went into the store, there was actually a few different ones lined up. So there's something about these that for some reason they stand out, even though they're not, you know, crazy labels or anything like that. I do kind of like the old time feel on the labels. I wish this gold part up at the top was just a little bit more attention grabbing. Milam Greene seems to be a distillery that's on the up and up. I mean, they are based out of Texas. Heather Greene, ever since she got involved with it, has, to my knowledge, they've just skyrocketed. I mean, there's all these different products that they put out, and I can't wait to try all of them. They have this one, they have their rye, they have the unabridged, they have the single barrels, they have all sorts of things. And given Heather's experience all across the world with whiskeys from all across the world, she knows whiskey. In fact, she wrote a book called Whiskey Distilled, which is a very, very good book. I recommend that. And so anything that she really is involved in, I trust, because she knows what she's doing. And I'm sure that she's assembled a team down there that knows what they're doing as well. So on the nose, it's like an immediate sweetness. It's like a dessert or candy sweetness, like that rich sugar type of sweet versus like maybe a fruity sweet. I don't really get like fruity sweetness. I get like dessert sweetness. I don't know, like pure sugar. That's what this, you know, something like that super, super sweet. But it balances out well, it seems like, on the nose, to where, yes, it's sweet, but there is some of that baking spice. And I think that's what helps me kind of process it as a dessert. The red cherries maybe is there. So almost like a cherry pie, some type of like cherry dessert there. 108 proof. I would say it drinks every bit of 108. But as with most whiskeys, I always suggest you take that initial sip. That's kind of just to numb everything. And then you go back in for that second sip. Now for me, the initial sip, I'm already getting flavor. There's graham cracker. There's like some hint of chocolate. And again, still this like pie, chocolate pie, graham cracker crust, something. There's something there when it comes to desserts and all of those notes that go along with it that I keep picking up. So this was also finished with French oak staves, and I feel like that you can sense the impact there. I think that there's a little bit of a drying factor, but in a good way. It's not like drying my mouth out to make this an unpleasant experience. It's dry, but it's like leaving all of these other notes. But I could definitely tell that French oak is there. I guess maybe I wouldn't be able to tell blind, but knowing that, I can see the impact. So like every sip, this is like, it's complex, but it's complex in a way of we're hanging out on the dessert side, but the way that these flavors come together make me want to keep going back to this and trying another sip and see like what else maybe I get. And sometimes I do get different flavors. First note I got was like graham cracker crust, sugar, sweet, desserty. Then I got baking spices. Then I got some type of pie. I got some type of chocolate off of that. I mean, it just keeps evolving. The spices and the sweetness are still balanced and they're playing well with each other. That's always good. But there's definitely more there and it makes me want to keep going back. Yeah, this one, I mean, there's even like maple syrup there a little bit. I've said this before in a few other videos, but I'm not necessarily a fan of bourbon with dinner. I can do it, especially if it's like a steak or something like that, but I'm just not a big fan. I mean, typically I like to drink other things or maybe a cocktail or water or whatever with dinner, and then as a dessert almost go to bourbon. This would be one where it is like a dessert bourbon. Probably have gotten that from me saying dessert 1,000 times in this video. There's just something about it, and I could tell with the experience that this would either be one that I would want to enjoy then, or this would be a whiskey that I would want to sit down and enjoy when I had more time. So if I have time, you know, an hour or so, or if I'm watching a TV show or a movie or whatever, and I have time to kind of sit with the whiskey, let it open up and let it keep evolving, and then I keep trying it and just see where those flavors go, this would be a good one to go to because of that complexity. I think Milam Greene is taking Kentucky and Tennessee, you know, we see that 1,000 times over, right? But they're taking that and they're showing you how that plays with Texas. It's almost like Texas putting their own spin on what we've seen 1,000 times. So originally I said it was a little bit drying. On that last sip, it almost came through as like buttery, more savory. There's complexity there, I guess, in flavor. there's complexity in the texture. That's kind of odd that I get something initially on the front part of that, and then towards the back end of that experience, it's just softer and buttery and savory, all those things. That's pretty impressive, I think, as well. I don't know that I've really seen that often in a bourbon. Complexity, sweetness, spice, oak. Obviously, oak is in almost every bourbon I think I've ever tried and will try. Makes sense. It's bourbon. But they're taking traditional flavors that we're used to, and they're putting a spin on it, their signature on it, and improving it. Not just the barrels they blended together, here's look what we did, but there's something to this, and it could be, again, how their own products are mixing in with this. It could be the French oak staves, you know, whatever the case is. I'm not really sure, but I would love to take a deeper dive into this whiskey and really spend some time with it. I would love to try their other products as well and see what Milam Greene really offers, because if the rest of their whiskeys are anywhere close to this, I mean, they're going to be a force to reckon with. Now, I've seen them win certain awards and all that stuff, but I've said this before, when I see something like that, it makes me want to be more critical of it. It makes me want to say, yeah, people are just buying into the hype and whatever the case is. This is not that. This is, in my opinion, this is a very good whiskey. I could see this not being for everyone, because I think sometimes people, you're thinking Kentucky straight bourbon and you want one particular experience. You may try this and still enjoy this, but I could see somebody that maybe is used to something that's more straight down the middle, not really reaching for this one as much. I don't think you would dislike this. I just think maybe you wouldn't reach for this one first, but I still think overall this is a very good whiskey in general. I think it's just a great experience. Again, one I would love to spend more time with. Love the proof on it. I think 108 it drinks hot at first, but starts to settle back down. This is a fantastic whiskey. And because of that, I'm going to rate it a 92 out of 100. I think this is one that I will absolutely buy again. And again, it makes me want to go check out their other stuff. Great job, Milam Greene. This is an excellent bottle. And for a craft distillery out of Texas, I think Texas has kind of gotten this stereotype of their whiskeys, and maybe part of that was distilleries maybe rushing products out too soon, or not blending properly, or not finishing properly, or whatever the case may be. I don't know what caused that, but a lot of people I know, when you hear Texas, they kind of run the other direction. You need to turn around, come on back, because this one, you know, and again, not full Texas distillate from my knowledge, but they're doing something down there special to it, because I've had Kentucky and Tennessee a million times, and this takes me on a different ride. Thank you so much for tuning into this review, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers.